This is Jason with UrbanRefugeGardening.com. Put together a short presentation just to tell you a little bit more about urban refuge gardening and what it can do for you. First of all, I just want to give a few statistics. 80% of Americans live in urban areas. They don't really have space for large gardens. Also, most Americans don't really have the time, space, or energy to grow a traditional garden. A lot of people work full time and they get home, it's really hot and they're tired, and it's hard to then dedicate a bunch of time in the garden. And also, most Americans, a lot of people move too often to grow a garden and they can't really take it with them when they move. So that's kind of a downside and a discouragement for people to grow a garden. Also, really, most Americans forget to water their garden daily, and they struggle with weeds. I know this was my case. I did have a 10 by 10 plot for a couple years. It was very difficult after working a 40-hour work week to come home in the heat of the day and to weed and water my garden. I definitely forgot to water, or I just simply didn't have time to water. And about a month into my gardening, I definitely struggled with weeds. So that's really where I developed the refuge garden. It's because, number one, I did not have a lot of space, lived in a second-story apartment balcony, and all I had was limited space. And I also, again, didn't really have the energy or the time to dedicate to weeds and watering and all the things that come along with that. So here are just some benefits of the refuge garden that I developed. You definitely get a high yield, and one of the reasons is because it has constant access to water. You do not have to weed. You can definitely grow organic. All you would need is organic potting soil and organic fertilizer to do that. A lot less space. You can grow 2 full-size plants in 1 container. There's a lot less effort. The amount of time I spend in my garden is significantly less than I did when I had a 10 by 10 plot, and a lot of people have even larger gardens than that, so it would take even less space and less time with the refuge garden. It is self-watering, and you have less water requirement. So normally in a traditional garden, you lose water, through evaporation, and you have to put a lot more water on the plants. With my system, you don't have to do that. You fill up the reservoir. Very little water evaporates. I also built the construction so that it's built to last. A lot of other self-watering solutions out there, they're thinly built. They're not really built out of industrial strength materials, and they're not necessarily going to last. The urban refuge garden is definitely cost effective. A lot of people, you could start off with 1 unit. If you like it, come back the next year, add more. I have 6 right now. I would have more, just I'm still living in an apartment and I still have limited space on my balcony, but 6 units is able to produce quite a bit of tomatoes and peppers and jalapenos and things like that I'm doing this year. And it is apartment friendly. I'm living in my 2nd apartment, and it works great if you have any sort of balcony or patio. Even if it's small, the unit is small enough to fit on any size balcony or patio. There's 7 gallons in the water reservoir, and there's also 7-foot collapsible stakes. These are things that you will not find in any competitor. 7 gallons of water is enough water to water a full-size tomato plant easily for 3 to 4 days without rain. If it rains in the midst of that, you can go even longer. 7-foot collapsible stakes, that's beneficial because most of the staking systems on the market, if you do find a unit that comes with a staking system, definitely not going to be 7 feet tall. It will not support an indeterminate tomato plant that grows 6 to 7 feet tall or taller. It fits about 3 cubic feet of potting soil, and as I said earlier, you can do 2 full-size vegetable plants. So those are just some of the reasons why the refuge garden is a great solution for the modern urban family that wants to garden. And here are just some simple gardening steps. This is really how easy it is to garden with the refuge garden. All you really have to do, get it in a sunny place, add 3 cubic feet of potting soil. You can do organic potting soil. You don't have to do organic. If you want to save a little bit of money, you can buy a non-organic potting soil. Add 2 vegetable plants of your choice. I've done cucumber and zucchini right next to each other. I love doing tomatoes, 2 tomatoes per plant. You could do the same variety, different varieties. You could do bell peppers, jalapenos, really just about anything you can think of. Fill the water reservoir up and add whatever vegetable fertilizer you want. This year I am using the Mittleider gardening method, using their weekly feed fertilizer, and it seems to be working awesome. So I do recommend that if you want to check that out. And then you just tie up the plants between the stakes with yarn as it grows. So that's fairly simple and easy. No weeding. You don't have to water every day. And then you harvest your vegetables. That's really as easy as it could be. So here I just want to give you some pictures of what the refuge garden looks like. This is a unit I installed at somebody's house. Obviously those tomato plants just came straight from the store. They did not grow them from seed. I like to grow my personal plants from seed. And just, plopped them in there. I use a layer of wood chips on top to help keep the moisture down. You don't have to do that, but I like the way it looks as well. And that is a cedar mulch. Then we have a couple other pictures in here of my personal refuge garden. And here we have a couple other pictures. This is actually from my original apartment balcony, where I had 3 of these containers. And this is just showing the plants at different stages, different heights. And then here is a picture where I have 3 refuge gardens outside of my original apartment balcony, with full-size tomato plants. And one cool thing about this is it actually kind of shaded my apartment. And that was kind of an added benefit of not letting so much sun bake into my apartment. And I do have some customer testimonials. So a guy named Craig lives in Evansville, Indiana. He told me that his father-in-law is a farmer. He bought a refuge garden from me, and he said his tomato plants in his refuge garden were 3 times as big as the ones he planted in the ground. So again, this guy's a farmer, so he's used to farming in the ground, and he definitely saw my unit as being a huge help in allowing his plants to grow larger. And I think that has everything to do with the plants having constant access to water. So another testimonial from Amber, also living in Evansville. She says that the self-watering garden container is great, almost maintenance free, very easy to set up. I highly recommend one for someone who has limited space for a garden. That is exactly what this refuge garden is for. It's for ease of use. It's for low maintenance, easy to set up gardening. Check out Urban Refuge Gardening, and I really encourage you to start your refuge garden today. So the units are $80 each. I do have volume discounts available. You can contact me personally at sales@urbanrefugegardening.com, or I do have a phone number on my website as well. You can give me a call. You can order them online at urbanrefugegardening.com, and I do recommend the system. Whether you buy one or like me, if you have 6. And again, if I had more space, I would definitely have even more. And you can sign up for our newsletter at urbanrefugegardening.com, and you will receive discount codes for your next order. So the nice thing about that, all you gotta do is sign up for a newsletter, and I will send out some discount codes. So whether you buy 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, or more, I have different discount codes for each of those types of transactions. And thanks for checking out Urban Refuge Gardening. Also, just a very quick testimonial before we end. I went out of town for 2 entire weeks. No one came over to water my garden. There was at least one 3-day spurt with 90-degree days back to back, no rain, and my refuge garden was perfect. I put some fertilizer on before I left, topped off the reservoirs, and left without worrying. It did, rain periodically through that time, but I didn't need to worry about how much it was raining or how often, because there was enough water in the reservoir to get it through any dry spout. And I came back, my plants had grown 2 feet. Each tomato plant was solidly 2 feet taller than it was when I left. So that's amazing. How many people can leave town for 2 weeks, not need to worry about watering, and come back to plants that are flowering immensely, fully watered? There was no sign of a lack of water on the leaves or the plant in any way. And all I have to do now is just tie up the plants, do a little bit of pruning, make sure they're straight and look nice, and harvest tomatoes. So again, thank you for watching my presentation, urbanrefugegardening.com. Encourage you to pop over to my website, sign up for the newsletter, and purchase your first refuge garden. And here's that picture that I was referring to, just to show you. So here's before my 2-week vacation began. That was the size of my plants. And after the 2 weeks, again, without watering, a little bit of rain, and just filling up the reservoir before I left, my plants went crazy. So as you can see, my plants are easily twice as tall as they were before, especially that one on the very right. That one has dozens of flowers on it. It easily doubled in size. So there you go. The refuge garden, it works. It is the easiest way to garden, whether you're young, old, lots of time, no time, lots of space, no space. I would still choose the refuge garden any day over a traditional garden. It is by far the most efficient way to garden in urban America. So thank you for watching, and check it out. Purchase one, take it home, and give me your testimonial of how it has affected your ability to garden. Have a great day.